something that was also suggested by one of you guys, and these are 6 unsolved murder cases that will keep you up at night. This was an article that was shared in an email from the website allthatinteresting.com. So, this is not my research, but this is something that one of you guys found interesting and decided to include it as the top whatever number series on my channel. Now, let's get started. From the boy in the box to the mystery of room 1046, this unsolved murder cases will creep into your brain and never leave. Today, 1/3 of all American murders go unsolved. And it's cases like this that haunt us with the thought that the killer was never caught and could still be walking among us. Throughout American history, in fact, there's been no shortage of unsolved murder cases that are as creepy as they are baffling. Number 1, the boy in the box. On February 23rd, 1957, a man was checking his muskrat traps in the woods of Susquehanna Road in Fox Chase, Philadelphia, when he came upon a baby bassinet box with a dead body in it. Knowing that his muskrat traps were illegal, the man decided against reporting the body. 2 days later, a college student named Frederick Benozis was spying on girls at the Good Shepherd School when he, too, came upon the body. He was also reluctant to notify the police, but a day later, he nonetheless reached out to the authorities. The body was that of a young child who has since become known as the boy in the box, as well as America's unknown child. The boy was completely naked, and his hands and feet were wrinkled as if he had been submerged into water before he died. Furthermore, his esophagus contained a dark substance, suggesting that he might have vomited shortly before he died, the cause of which appeared to be several blows to the head. Surprisingly, even though the case attracted significant media attention, no one ever came forward to identify the boy. However, progress was made in 2002 when a psychiatrist contacted the authorities was telling the truth, even if she was mentally unstable. However, when Mary's name leaked to the press, she left the country, and no further efforts have been made to investigate the curious case of America's unknown child. Number 2. The Black Dahlia. On January 15, 1947, the dismembered body of a woman was discovered in a vacant lot in Leimert Park, Los Angeles. I can never remember how to pronounce that. So surreal was the scene that the woman who discovered the body, Betty Bersinger, initially thought that she had come upon a severed mannequin. The body was completely drained of blood and had seemingly been washed, and the face had been slashed from mouth to ear. The upper and lower parts of the body were placed a foot away from each other and were posed. The hands were placed over the head, the elbows bent, and the legs spread. The intestines were tucked under the buttocks. After the authorities were called, the body was identified as Elizabeth Short, later known as the Black Dahlia, a 22-year-old aspiring actress who had been dating a married salesman. 6 days after the gruesome discovery, on January 21st, the editor of the Los Angeles Examiner, James Richardson, received an anonymous call. The caller told Richardson to expect souvenirs. On January 24th, a curious envelope was discovered by a U.S. Postal Service worker. The envelope was addressed to the Los Angeles Examiner and other Los Angeles papers. The letter contained Elizabeth's birth certificate, photos, and other personal belongings. On January 26, another letter came. It said, "Here it is. Turning in wed, January 29th at 10 a.m. And it was abbreviated. Had my fun at Police Black Dahlia Avenger. End quote. The note included the location where the killer would supposedly show up. The police waited patiently, but to their dismay, the killer never showed. That same day, another note was sent. Quote, "Have changed my mind. You would not give me a square deal. Dahlia killing was justified." End quote. Over the years, the police have questioned countless suspects and self-confessed Black Dahlia killers. However, to this day, the Black Dahlia's murder has not been found and remains one of the most baffling unsolved murders cases in history. Number 3. Unsolved murder cases. The Ice Box Murders. On June 23rd, 1965, Houston patrolmen paid a standard visit to the house of an elderly couple, Fred and Edwina Rogers. To their surprise, they found the house empty and were probably on their way out when one of them decided to check the fridge. Charles Bullock, one of the patrolmen present that day, recalled the scene. She is snoring, my goodness gracious. Okay, quote, opened up a refrigerator and seen nothing but meat stacked in it. My partner standing next to me made the comment that it looked like somebody had butchered a hog. We didn't know it was a body until we got ready to close the refrigerator and could see the head down in the bottom of the vegetable bin. How creepy. I'm looking at the picture of the fridge. Police investigated and discovered that Fred, who was 81, and Edwina, who was 72, had actually been killed a week before they were placed in the refrigerator. Edwina had been brutally beaten and then shot, while Fred had had his head crushed. His insides were later flushed down the toilet. I'm sorry, I have no heart to wake her up. She's snoring. And she's old. I hope you don't mind. The killer was never found, but the prime suspect was, and still is, the elderly couple's son, Charles, who was 43 years old at the time. No one could ever find him. He disappeared without a trace. However, recently two people, Hugh and Martha Gardenier, have declared that they have cracked the icebox murder case wide open. According to them, Charles, who was a geophysicist, was physically and emotionally abused by his parents from a young age. His parents lived in the house that was owned by Charles and constantly took out loans in his name. So he got tired of being constantly abused, and Charles supposedly killed him. He then fled to Mexico, it is believed, and soon made his way down to South America, where he continued to work as a geophysicist. Next mystery is the mystery of room 1046. On January 2nd, 1935, a man checked into room 1046 at the Hotel President in Kansas City. His name, according to the hotel register, was Roland T. Owen, and his home address was in Los Angeles. He had a cauliflower ear, brown hair, and a horizontal scar on his scalp. He had no stopped by room 1046. According to her, Owen seemed frightened. The blinds were shut tight, and the room only source of light came from a small lamp. After the maid was done cleaning the room, Owen asked her to leave the door unlocked because he was expecting a friend. Later, when the maid returned with fresh towels, she saw a note on the dresser that said, "Dawn, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait." The next morning, the maid returned to room 1046. It was locked from the outside, so she assumed that Owen had gone out. However, to her surprise, Owen was in the room, meaning that someone else had stopped by previously and locked Owen in. Just like the previous night, Owen was sitting in the dark. Then a phone rang. Owen answered and said, "No, I don't want to eat. I am not hungry. I just had breakfast." That same day, a motorist named Robert Lane picked up a man near the hotel president. The man apparently told Lane that he was going to kill someone tomorrow. Later on, Lane identified the stranger he had picked up as Owen. That night, when the maid returned to room 1046 with fresh towels, she was turned away by a gruff-sounding man. The next morning, the hotel staff noticed that the telephone in room 1046 was off the hook. A bellboy was sent up to the room, where he discovered Owen lying in a puddle of blood. It was obvious that Owen had been tortured. When the police asked Owen who did this to him, he answered, "Nobody." His wounds, according to him, were the result of him falling against the bathtub. Mysteriously, his clothes were missing. When the police tried to confirm Owen's identity, they found that Roland T. Owen did not exist. Owen, who had by now become John Doe, died in the hospital and was to be buried in the potter's field. However, an anonymous call came asking for the burial to be postponed until funds for a proper funeral were wired. 13 flowers were sent for the funeral and were signed "Love Forever, Louise." In 1936, a woman read about the case and thought that Owen looked a lot like her friend's missing son, Artemis Ogletree. His mother confirmed that the man from room 1064 was indeed Morgan's card was propped against his foot. A hat concealed the man's head, and a scarf was wrapped around the woman's neck. It was later discovered the woman's tongue had been cut out. Torn love letters were scattered all around them. The bodies were those of Reverend Edward Wheeler Hall and Eleanor Reinhardt Mills. The two had been lovers, but their affair was a complicated one. Mills was married to the church's janitor, and Hall was married to a wealthy woman named Frances Stephen Hall, the main murder suspect. The crime scene was contaminated by souvenir hunters, and thus the police had nothing solid to go on until Jane Gibson, better known as the Big Woman, came forward. She was a hog farmer who lived near the crime scene. According to her, on the night of September 14, she saw 4 people, 2 men and 2 women, in the cornfield. Gibson heard a woman yell, "Explain these letters." Gunshots, and then a woman shrieking, "Henry!" The case was dismissed and no one was charged, but then 4 years later, a maid that had previously served the Halls confessed that Reverend wanted to annul his marriage and elope with Mills. The Big Woman was once again called in to testify, but her testimony was deemed inaccurate. It didn't help that Gibson's mother, who sat in the front row, kept mumbling, "Liar, liar, liar," throughout the testimony, thus further ruining Gibson's credibility. Mrs. Hall and her brothers, Henry and William, were acquitted. The last case is Charles Morgan and Green Eyes. The prominent Tucson escrow agent Charles "Chuck" Morgan left his house, as usual, on March 22nd, 1977, but did not return for 3 days. When he did return, he could not speak because, as he explained to his bewildered wife, his throat was painted with hallucinogenic drug that could kill him or make him go mad. He also confessed to being a U.S. Treasury agent. It took Morgan a week to recover, but only 2 months after his first disappearance, Morgan vanished once again. 9 days later, his wife received a mysterious call from an anonymous woman who said, "Chuck is all right." Ecclesiastes 12:1-8. 2 days later, Morgan's body was discovered in the desert. He had been shot in the back of the head. The murder weapon, his own gun. According to the sheriff's department, Morgan's death was suicide, but it was indeed suicide. But if it was indeed suicide, why did Morgan wear a bulletproof vest? And why did he carry a knife and a holster in his belt. To complicate matters further still, some strange objects were found in Morgan's car parked near the crime scene. The curious objects included ammunition, weapons, a CB radio, and one of Morgan's teeth wrapped in a handkerchief. A $2 bill was also found clipped to Morgan's underwear. The bill had a number of Spanish surnames scribbled on it, as well as a map of the area. 2 days after Morgan's body was discovered, an anonymous woman called the Pima County Sheriff's Department. She referred to herself Green Eyes and confessed that she was the anonymous woman who called Morgan's wife previously. She said that before Morgan's death, she had met him in a motel where he had shown her a suitcase full of cash. There was supposedly a contract out on Morgan's life, but he and the hitman had arranged a deal for his life to be saved. No suspects were ever found, but it is believed that the mafia was involved, as Morgan supposedly carried out escrow work for the mafia and had recently testified in a secret investigation into illegal activity. Nevertheless, Morgan's killing remains one of the most baffling unsolved murder cases in recent American history. Now, those are these 6 unsolved mysteries or unsolved murder cases. Some of them I was familiar with. Some other ones I've been researching to make an entire video. But thanks to the recommendation of top videos, top 6, top 10, top 20, I wanted to give you a brief explanation, I guess, of some of these unsolved murders, or a preview of these unsolved murders. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for being here today, guys, and I will see you here